Hey, it's Jake Mace, Jake and Nicolle off grid, and I'm live, and I always need your help. If you guys can comment, hey Jake, what's up? I can see you and hear you, and give me something like how old you are, what city you're in, are you a guy or a girl, and give me some of your backstory so I can read the chat and be inspired and see who I'm talking to. I love that. I wanted to share something secret with you guys. I'm doing a lot of remote off-grid work right now. The yurt is where we've lived for almost a decade. I got my twins on me, River and Willow. Hi, River. Hi, Willow. They're watching. Which one's which? It's almost dinner time, so I'm hoping they won't fall asleep while we do some walking together and give Mom a 20-minute break while we do a live. And River, she's gonna want to come in here and take over the show. Okay. When I'm doing some off-grid work, I'm trying to get us out of that yurt, dissolve it, maybe use it as a cabin for friends and family, and instead get us in the 3 times larger and better container house. But I think of things that I think are really meaningful to a future fox or a future River or Willow, or if time does not exist and young 18-year-old Jake Mace is out there listening, hopefully he finds these words in the universe somewhere. I want to talk to you about an experience I had when I was graduating high school and I went to college. I broke my arm and had to have a couple surgeries and a bunch of metal put in my arm, so I couldn't keep wrestling. And so I ended up going after my studies and thought that I wanted to be in the FBI or CIA, and I wanted to be a trilingual martial arts black belt specialist in languages and self-defense, and then do something like I see in the Mission Impossible movies or X-Files movies. And so I got a scholarship. I was going to Arizona State, but I got a scholarship with Duke to go and study Chinese in Beijing. And I went. They sent me some money and I paid for the program and I went. And I was the first kind of person in my family that I can think of that really went and lived in a different country ever. And I want to talk to you about what I experienced. So I'm 18 years old, no, maybe 19 years old. And back then, you had to actually call a travel broker on the phone or meet in person at an office and buy your ticket. So 6 months in advance, I bought a ticket to Beijing that met up with the dates that I wanted to go to China. And I'm as blonde and as white as they come. And I've always been like a youthful, baby face looking guy. I've always looked a lot younger than I am. Like right now, I'm 89 years old. What do you think? That's right. And this girl has my hair and this girl has Nicolle's. So I can remember getting on the plane to go to China and it being about 14 or 15 hours and how the whole plane was Chinese people. And so right then I knew I really didn't think about this situation very well. I don't know what I thought. I just thought it would be cool to go to China, and it was the first step toward me being a super spy, was to get Mandarin Chinese down. And so I was the blondest white guy you ever saw that spoke beautiful Chinese. And so I got on the plane and I look around and it's all Chinese people and it's nobody that looks like me. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. I've been on planes my whole life, but never been on a plane before where I don't look like anybody else on this plane. Because as you know, when you get on a plane and you travel domestically, you'll get around a lot of people that look like people you've been with your whole life. But if you get on a plane to a different country, usually you're with people from that country going home. And so all of a sudden, everyone's speaking Chinese. They had like exercises in Qigong on the plane at hour 6, hour 8 to like keep you from getting blood clot from the long flight. And then we get off in Beijing, and in those days, Beijing was a different city than it is today. There was no Olympics, there was no maglev train yet. The airport was a good 2-hour drive by taxi cab away from the city center. Because China is a very old place, and so a lot of the big cities have not been built to accommodate air travel. And so a lot of the airports are very much far away from the cities. And nowadays you can go to Shanghai or Beijing and you can ride a maglev train and get there in 20, 30 minutes because it goes 400 kilometers an hour. But back then that didn't exist. So here comes 19-year-old Jake, skinny and baby face. And I realized very quickly that my 1 year of Chinese at Arizona State University taught me taught me nothing. It actually gave me false confidence. And all I had on me that told me the next step of my adventure was I had exchanged an email correspondence with the teachers from Duke of the address written in Chinese characters of where the university was I would go to, which was Shoudu Shifan Dashui or Shifan Dashui. So it wasn't Beijing Dashui, it was Shoudu Shifan Dashui, two different dashuis, two different colleges in Beijing. And the Shifan Dashui was written address on this slip I had. And they had put us up in a little hotel next to the campus because the dorms were not ready yet. And I had to make it to this hotel room because that was the next step. And I don't know why I was so ignorant. Maybe because I was 19, I didn't have anybody helping me. But I really got off that plane in China, and the only thing I did that was valuable was I was smart enough to get a visa in advance. And actually Duke, the college professors helped me with the visa. So I had the visa and I had my plane ticket, and I arrive at Beijing, at Old Beijing Airport. And I get off, and now there's all these sijis, there's all these taxi cab drivers. And yeah, I know you want to see the babies, but I don't want to exploit them too much. I give you guys a little sneak peek. They're being cute right here. They can't fall asleep. Oh no, Willow, don't fall asleep, Willow. If you fall asleep, I'm going to be really in trouble with the mom. It's dinner time. You can't fall asleep because bedtime's in 2 hours. And then mom has to suffer. Stay awake. Oh God, my voice puts them to sleep. They think I'm so boring already. And there's a bunch of taxi cabs outside, and I can recognize a taxi cab because I know how it looks. Taxi cabs, you can just tell they have lights on, and I couldn't read anything yet really in Chinese, but I can tell the taxi cabs are out there. And so they see me coming and they just think money. They think here comes a non-Chinese tourist. And so I get swarmed by Chinese taxi cab drivers. And I tell them, well, here's the address where I have to go. And they all say they can take me there, of course. So I instantly am asking them, what's the price? 'Cause I think even at that time, I didn't know how to say 多少钱. I don't think I did. I think I knew 你好, 再见, maybe to count to 10. But I don't even think I knew how to say 多少钱. So it's not like I even asked them how much, or I was asking them in English, how much? And I realized really quickly, oh my God, there's no English here. There was more English today if you go to the big cities, but at that time, 25 years ago, there was less. And I chose a taxi cab driver. He seemed like he knew he was gonna be honest enough. He puts my bag in the car, gets me in the car, and now I'm locked in this car with this gentleman. And we proceed to drive at speeds that I have only seen in the Fast and Furious movies. I cannot explain to you how my brain was turned into a pretzel instantly, 2 seconds into my Chinese adventure. This cab driver started driving the wrong way down one-ways. There were no blinkers. The horn was being honked constantly, just horn. The horn was being used to change lanes. The horn was being used to go through intersections. The horn was being used just randomly. I couldn't understand horn honking and speeds that I have never seen. I'm talking, it must have been 80 miles an hour down neighborhood streets that seemed like they should have been 25-mile-an-hour streets. I look around, there's no seatbelts back there. And it seemed like we were driving forever. This guy could have easily taken me anywhere he wanted to take me and done anything to me he wanted to do. It was about an hour and a half or 2 hours, and we arrive at the hotel I was supposed to stay at, and I don't know if it's the right hotel. And all I can do is walk inside and hand them my proof that I was part of the language program, and they said, yeah, you're with this other student, you guys are sharing a room, and here's where you go, but did it all in Chinese. And so you're really communicating with hand signals. And that was, 16 hours of such profound change in my life. Not only that, but just the way Beijing looks. It's very, it's very smoggy. It's very gray. It was summertime. It was very hot. It's very humid. And it was incredibly overpopulated. It was very congested. It had a mix of, all I can say was like crazy dense apartment building with ancient Chinese architecture, with the most people I've ever seen in my entire life. And then I got in this hotel and it was time to go to sleep. I slept because, as you do on an international trip, you're jet lagged. I get up the next morning at 5 in the morning. At that time, I was doing a lot of martial arts, Chinese Gong Fu, Tai Chi, Qigong, Xingyi, Bagua, and the Chinese martial arts. And so I really felt like I was in some sort of time warp where I got transported back into China, and I was gonna find some sort of Bai Mei white eyebrow monk character to train me on some temple. You know, I'm some Mr. Miyagi. And I woke up at 5 in the morning and just walked the city, and there was nobody out. And the amount of people I saw just hawking loogies, a lot of just, there's a lot of that in China, a lot of smoking, and a lot of just craziness. People on bicycles hauling so much stuff on trailers, and just a lot of poverty, and a lot of just a completely 180 different life than I've ever experienced before. And then I was at the mercy of talking to people. I was at the mercy of, I've got to find the teachers face to face. I have no phone. I've got to find them. I have no internet. There was no such thing as that at that time, really. It was there, but not really. And that was the beginning of my China adventure. And it was a very real, earthy adventure. It was a very real adventure that there wasn't really anything digital about it. From buying the ticket, to finding the cab driver, to meeting the other students, to having difficulty in the program because it was a very difficult immersion program, 30 to 50 new characters and words per day, to traveling around the whole country. I traveled to Xi'an, to Shanghai. I traveled to Luoyang, all around the country by myself on trains. And I got used to traveling alone in very different countries than my birthplace ones. And during all of these train trips and bus trips and studies, not once did I ever look at a digital device. We didn't even have a digital device to look up characters. We had to look up Chinese characters with the radicals with a dictionary. And then flash forward to today, if the internet was only Airbnb, Expedia, and Uber, that would be enough to profoundly change the world. The ability you have to get into another country and hit the Uber button and have a car pull up for you profoundly would have changed my experience, and I think for the worse. The ability that you have to book an Airbnb with the app, or go on Expedia or Hotwire and book a hotel anywhere in the world, even with an hour notice on your phone without ever even meeting anybody, profoundly would have changed my experience. And the ability to do those things and travel would have given me such a lesser experience. I look back on that experience. I was so fortunate to struggle and have my brain turn into a pretzel in that way. And I would really recommend anybody who's especially, well, a young person, but anybody alive, to go and struggle in that way and have your brain turn into a pretzel to where you're screaming and scared and nervous. Because 2 months in, you will be craving that and you won't want it to end. This is also why I love spearfishing and sailing and these immersion activities that immerse you in the activity. And today, I gotta say, I'm very much addicted to the phone. I find myself at night when the girls go to sleep and with Fox goes to sleep, I start watching YouTube, and now what's happened is YouTube has turned from long form horizontal videos to short form vertical swipe with the thumb. And even though I might go on there to listen to the latest news and watch Trump drop the F-bomb, or I might want to watch some sort of a movie on YouTube Movies, I get caught up in this swipe thing with the thumb. And it's very addictive, even though I don't seek it out. And I wonder what's happening to people today, adults and kids alike, if they have 24 hours access to this ability and they don't ever have the experience that 19-year-old Jake Mace did traveling to China on his own. And so in a sense, this off-grid experience has been that, coming out here to the forest to make it with a chainsaw and a van, and having to build a yurt for ourselves was very much not scary to me because I had that China experience in my back pocket to teach me that I could do it. And are people going to be shells of their former selves because they'll be supported by the digital phone? Is nobody going to be independent and strong-minded and strong-spirited and strong physical anymore because they can just Uber, Airbnb, Hotwire, the hotel and the car, and they can kind of dominate a country instead of have a country bring you down to your knees to where you're asking for help and you're at the mercy of the people. The Chinese people were so kind to me to help me get along my way, to help me climb Hua Mountain, to help me climb Wudong Mountain, to help me go to the Shaolin Temple and see the terracotta warriors, to help me get to my college. I never had a bad experience once. People had to help me. A digital device never helped me even once. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments. I'm interested in your story. I gotta go and do dinner, and I'll talk to you guys soon. If you guys comment right now, when I have dinner, I'll get back in the comments and I'll read and I'll respond to you. So thanks everybody. New video coming soon. I got 4 new videos to upload this week, so stay close.